Snow fell heavily, silent, endless, covering the wild. Empty hills where no one dared to go in winter. A man named Jonah lived alone in an old forest cabin, high up on a lonely ridge. He'd chosen this place to disappear, to forget the past. No phone, no neighbors, just the wind, the fire, and his old dog, Rex, who'd been with him through war and silence. Jonah kept to a quiet routine: chop wood, tend the stove, listen to radio for weather. He liked the stillness. Or so he told himself. But one night, something changed. The wind howled, the snow fell thick, and then, through the storm, came a sound. Thud, thud, thud. Not footsteps. Too heavy, too slow. And then a soft, broken whinny, like a cry. Jonah froze. He stepped to the window, wiped the frost on the glass, and there they were. Two wild horses, trembling, soaked, eyes wide with cold and fear, standing just outside the broken fence. One was big, strong-looking, but weak from the cold. The other, a young colt, its leg bent wrong, shaking like a leaf. They weren't running. They weren't backing away. They were looking at him, not with fear, but with pleading. Jonah's breath caught. What are you doing here?" he whispered. Wild horses didn't come to cabins. Not in winter. Not ever. But these two they had, and in that moment, something deep inside Jonah cracked open. He grabbed his coat, pulled on his boots, and stepped into the storm. Rex growled low, unsure. "Stay," Jonah said, patting his head. "I'll be back." Outside, the wind bit his face. Snow stung his eyes. He trudged forward, heart pounding. The big horse snorted, stepped back, but didn't run. The colt tried to stand straight, failed, and nearly fell. Jonah's chest tightened. "You're freezing," he said softly. "You can't stay out here." He opened the old gate. It creaked like a ghost and held out a sack of hay. "Easy, easy now." The big horse sniffed, then nudged the colt forward. They stepped inside. Jonah closed the gate behind them. That night, he gave them hay, warm water, even an old wool blanket. He wrapped the colt's leg with what little medical supplies he had: bandages, tape, ointment. His hands were numb, but he kept going. The big horse watched him, then slowly leaned its head toward him. Just a little. A touch. A thank you. Jonah felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Morning came. The storm had calmed. But when Jonah stepped outside, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Footprints. Not his. Not Rex's. Someone had been here. He grabbed his rifle, followed the tracks through the snow, and found a woman hidden behind a tree. She raised her hands. "I mean no harm," she said, breath puffing in the cold. "My name is Dr. Mara. I work with wild horses. These two, they're part of a herd we've been tracking. We lost them in the storm." Jonah lowered the rifle just a little. "You came all this way for them?" Mara nodded. "We want to help, but the roads are blocked. We need to get them to a safe place, a recovery center, but we can't do it alone." Jonah looked back at the horses. The colt was resting. The big mare stood guard, one hoof still injured, but alive. He thought of the look in their eyes the night before. Not fear. Trust. "I'll help," he said. Together, they planned. Jonah had an old snowmobile. Bessie, he called her. They'd use her to pull a sled, get the horses to a pickup point. It wasn't going to be easy. The storm wasn't done. The trail was dangerous. And horses, they were wild. They could panic at any moment. But they had to try. They moved slowly. The colt was weak. The mare stayed close, protective. Mara walked beside them, talking softly. Jonah drove Bessie, hard in his throat every time the sled jolted. Then the storm hit again. Wind screamed. Snow blinded them. The horses panicked. The colt cried out. They found a rocky ledge, just enough to block the worst of the wind. They set up a tarp, started a small fire, huddled together, humans and horses, sharing warmth, sharing fear. That night, Jonah sat by the fire, watching the horses. The mare rested her head near the colt. The colt leaned into her. And for the first time in years, Jonah felt seen, not as a soldier, not as a loner, but as someone who mattered. The next morning, they found another horse, a stallion, thin, limping, half dead from the cold. Jonah didn't hesitate. He crawled close, spoke softly, offered grass. The horse looked at him and took one shaky step forward. They brought him back. And when the stallion saw the mare and the colt, something incredible happened. The mare whinnied, a long, loud call. The colt struggled to stand. And the stallion, weak as he was, ran to them. They touched noses. They leaned into each other. They knew each other. Family, torn apart by the storm, brought back together by kindness. Jonah's eyes burned. He hadn't saved them alone. They had saved him. Days passed. The storm broke. A truck arrived. The horses were loaded into a warm, padded trailer. Jonah stood beside it, hand on the mare's neck. She looked at him. Deep, dark eyes full of something he couldn't name. "Go," he whispered. "Be free." The truck drove away. Jonah returned to his quiet cabin. Rex greeted him. The fire crackled. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt peaceful. A week later, a package arrived. Photos. The colt, standing strong. The mare running in a field. The stallion, healthy, proud. And a letter from Mara. They're healing. And soon they'll go home. If you can come, we'd love to have you there. They remember you. I think they want to say goodbye. Jonah folded the letter, held it to his chest. He looked out the window. The snow was melting. Green grass peeked through. Birds sang. Life was coming back. And so was he. Kindness doesn't just save others. It heals the one who gives it. If this story touched your heart, please share it. Tell us in the comments, what moment made you pause? What did you feel? And if you believe in second chances, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because stories like this, they remind us that even in the coldest storms, hope is never far away.